Hi, my name is Ed Boon, and we're here to talk about the latest Mortal Kombat game.
Let's start by giving us your thoughts on how you see. Have you seen society and pop culture kind of come around to Mortal Kombat? Because from when it first came out, it was pretty controversial.
Sure, yeah. Well, I guess people don't realize that when it first came out, that was 18 years ago. That was a different era. Video games were made in a completely different way, and video games weren't nearly as sophisticated as they were before. So Mortal Kombat was the first game where all of a sudden we're seeing red pixels on the screen and it's blood, and all of a sudden you see somebody get cut in half, and it was very shocking for the time. And I think that that's a natural reaction is when you see something new. There's always just kind of an outrageous reaction to it, something as violent as that game. Now it's very almost commonplace. There are games that are surpass Mortal Kombat in terms of violence, and it's just people are used to seeing it, so it's not as big of a deal.
What are the challenges of trying to not necessarily shock people, but live up to that Mortal Kombat mentality when it comes to new games in this environment today?
Well, it's expected that Mortal Kombat has violence, in the game, and I think that I don't think you can, after doing 9 or 8 Mortal Kombat games, I don't think you can shock anybody anymore. It's not like you can, cut somebody's head off and say, "Oh, I've never seen that before." So, Mortal Kombat, it's expected to have it, but when we do it, it's by no means something that people consider shocking. It might be a little bit more realistic because it's a lot more sophisticated technology that's kind of displaying it, but in terms of the act on the screen, people's kind of been there, done that.
Where do you guys draw inspiration from when it comes to the latest fatalities?
Movies. I think a lot of the fatalities that we had in the beginning that made the game infamous. Pulling somebody's heart out. That's been seen in a number of Japanese martial arts movies or something, and the one with the so a lot of movies we see something and everybody says, "Oh, that would be a great fatality," and we have fatality meetings, and a lot of movies are referenced whenever we kind of talk about them.
So, having done all of these Mortal Kombats in the past, kind of what were your goals going into this latest?
The goals for this Mortal Kombat game was really to kind of repeat, or repeat the first 3 games, in terms of their gameplay. We went back to a 2D gameplay, and go back to the M-rated presentation, the mature presentation. All of a sudden, the last Mortal Kombat game was T-rated, so we didn't have as much blood or violence and all that. So this is really kind of returning to the mature presentation with the fatalities and all that, and then also to have as deep of a fighting engine as we can. We never really tailored the game as much towards the hardcore fighting game players. This is the first Mortal Kombat game that we are consciously saying, let's put in some really deep features that the hardcore players will eat up.
And when it comes to stereo 3D, you guys are also supporting that. What do you feel that brings to the fighting genre?
I think it's a lot more of an immersive visual experience. It doesn't change the fighting mechanic. The game will play like the normal version will, but when you're playing the game, you have more layers of visuals between the camera and the player, and so it just feels like a more immersive experience.
Creatively, do you feel that 3D opens anything up for you guys as a developer?
It certainly opens up in terms of presentation, and I think had we started this game, with 3D in mind, we decided to go 3D about halfway into it. Somebody approached us and thought if we were interested, we may have added some other feature to kind of enhance the gameplay, but we really want to keep the gameplay simple. Ironically, we went from a 3D playfield to a 2D playfield, but our presentation is 3D, so it's going to be a great visual look to it, but it'll still be a lot of it'll maintain an accessible feeling. Anybody can pick up the game and throw Scorpion Spear, throw Sub-Zero, but it'll still be an accessible playing.
What are your thoughts, sticking with 3D for a minute, on what impact that will have on gaming moving forward? Just opening up creativity to you guys, knowing that going forward, like you said, you could start from 3D.
Yeah, I think if you were to design a game from scratch and you knew that it was in 3D, you can have elements that are, like to me, I feel there's a lot to be done with, like, the player HUD, so the information that you're giving the player, you can give things that are a little bit more urgent pop them out of the screen and then the player can read them, or things that are more passive, can you push back? Once you have that other dimension, there are things you can do just to get the player's attention more, and I think that there's a lot to explore with that.
Who's your personal favorite when it comes to the Mortal Kombat roster of fighters, and why?
Scorpion. And my favorite character's been Scorpion since the very first game. I think there was something about when we were first making the first game, I put this kind of crazy spear move where he throws a spear at somebody, pulls him in, and people in our company were just crazy about doing that move. That was a big moment for me of like, we knew we had something special, so I always had a place in my heart was for Scorpion.
And because of that, do people have any type of advantage if they pick Scorpion in any of these games?
No, he's just a cool looking character.
And can you talk a little about some of the new characters that you guys have in this one?
Well, this game is actually kind of like a celebration of the first three titles. So the initial roster is going to be primarily characters from the first three games. A lot of these characters people haven't seen in a long time, or they haven't seen presented in this kind of sophisticated technology. Our characters are 20,000 plus polygons, and so some people haven't seen their favorite character with such detail. We actually are going to have a very aggressive approach with downloadable content, so people will be able to download new characters after the game is already for sale, and that'll let us kind of maintain, update it, and that's where we'll have the opportunity to do brand new characters.
And when it comes to the fighting genre, do other games, what they've done, whether it's Street Fighter or Tekken, influence you guys at all?
Yeah, I usually play all of the fighting games. I'm a big fan of Street Fighter. Super Street Fighter I thought was a great game, and I love Tekken as well. So we play the games, and sometimes we're in a situation and on one of their games, and we think, oh, that'd be cool if we can add this feature to the to enhance that or something. And so there's a lot of back and forth that we do just playing the other games.
The last thing I want to ask you is, do you think we'll ever see another Mortal Kombat movie? Because the first two actually did pretty well at the box office, and we're kind of pioneers in that whole Hollywood and video game convergence.
Yeah, it's weird when you say that. I didn't realize until now that the first movie came out 15 years ago, and so it's been a long time. The second movie was 12 years ago or something like that. So I'd love to see another movie, but I'd be really cautious. I wouldn't want to release one. I wasn't crazy about the second Mortal Kombat movie, and I'd hate to see something like that happen again. So if they made another one, I'd hope that somebody would make sure that there's kind of quality behind it.
Cool. And you got 3D now too.
Yeah, that'd be pretty exciting to see that.